Hey there and welcome to Scandal Steep. I can't be without you, baby. That simple phrase echoed in Mary's mind more times than she could count. But behind it wasn't romance, it was desperation, depression, and at one point, a terrifying sense that maybe life wasn't worth continuing. She remembered the moment it all nearly broke her. Right before it happened, she had this sinking, impossible feeling, disbelief that someone she loved would betray her so deeply. To the world, she was untouchable, a force of nature crowned the queen of hip-hop soul. A voice that could tear through pain and deliver platinum hits like confessions sung from the soul. There's only one Mary J. Blige. You could copy the hair, mimic the swag, throw together another girl group, but none could embody her essence. Not really. Not ever. But for those who truly knew her, she was never just the legend. She was a little black girl from Yonkers, clawing her way through trauma, poverty, and heartbreak. Her earliest battles weren't on stages or red carpets, they were behind closed doors, in the shadows of addiction, neglect, and violence. I was mad at him. Mad at everything. Mad at the world, Mary would later admit. There comes a point where you feel like, nobody loves me. Addiction haunted her even as the spotlight found her. Heartbreak never loosened its grip. And violence, tragically, felt like a twisted form of loyalty. I thought if I let him go, I would die, she confessed. You know that kind of love where losing them feels like losing your mind? And then there was Diddy, her mentor, her motivator, maybe even her mirror. He was the energy that moved the room. Mary had come into the music business hating herself, terrified of success, doubting everything. But Puff? He wanted it all, and watching him want it made her believe that maybe she could want it too. Whether he saved her, used her, or pushed her too far depends on who you ask. But their connection was undeniable. She was there at the rise. And maybe the reckoning. Born on January 11, 1971, in the Bronx's Fordham Hospital, Mary J. Blige didn't grow up with borough glamour. She was raised in Yonkers, deep in the Slobum housing projects. The locals didn't say the name with pride. They called it Slow Bomb, a warning more than a nickname. Gunfire echoed nightly. Domestic fights weren't whispered, they were screamed through walls so thin you could hear everything. Broken windows, broken homes, broken hearts, that was the norm. Her mother, Cora Blige, was a nurse. She worked hard, fought hard, and clung to music like it was armor. Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, Chaka Khan, Cora played them loud, hoping their strength would pour into her daughters. But Cora was fighting demons of her own. She drank to forget the pain of a crumbled marriage. Mary's father, Thomas Blige, a Vietnam vet and jazz musician, left when she was just 4. He drifted in and out of their lives like a restless ghost until one day, he didn't return at all. At home, love had strings attached. Affection was rare. And outside? It was even worse. Mary would recall growing up surrounded by women, battered and broken, black eyes, bloodied lips, torn shirts, bare feet, running down the hallway, screaming for help that never came. She stopped flinching when she heard screams at night. Eventually, it just became background noise. Survival meant looking the other way. But her trauma didn't wait for adulthood. At just 5 years old, Mary experienced something that no child ever should. At a family friend's home, during what was supposed to be a safe gathering, she was assaulted. She remembered that exact moment right before it happened, the horror of not believing this person could do something so vile. It stayed with her. The shame, the silence, the guilt, she carried it like a secret wound. I thought it was my fault, she later said. I believed I wasn't worth anything. She buried it for years. Never told anyone. And that unspoken trauma twisted her sense of self. But even in the darkest corners of her world, there was one place she could breathe: church. Mary found temporary freedom in gospel choirs, where her voice began to stretch, crack, and heal. Singing was the only way she knew how to express the pressure inside her chest. When she performed at school talent shows, her eyes stayed closed, not from stage fright, but because it was the only way to disappear while staying present. At 7, she sang Reunited by Peaches and Herb at school. The audience clapped. But Mary? She didn't feel joy. She felt exposed, vulnerable, like they were looking straight through her. As she got older, she built her armor: baggy jeans, Timberlands, oversized jackets, and a backward cap. Not a fashion statement, protection. She wasn't trying to be a tomboy. She was trying not to be noticed. Not in that way. I had been through so much, she said. I didn't want to draw attention. It took me years to wear makeup or dress tight. Every walk through the project hallways was a gauntlet. You had to look hard, sound harder, and act like nothing could shake you. Otherwise, you'd get robbed, jumped, or worse. Mary fought everyone, boys, girls, and even her own family. It wasn't rebellion. It was defense. But music was the one thing that made her feel soft inside. Even as a child weighed down by sadness, insecurity, and grief, singing made her feel like she was flying. "It's the only thing I had," she said. "The only thing I held onto." She and her sister would harmonize through cracked windows, turning sirens into lullabies. Fame wasn't the dream. Escape was. That escape came unexpectedly in 1988, not from a studio or a label but from a karaoke booth inside the Galleria Mall in Westchester. Mary was 17, a high school dropout working at a call center, and carrying the weight of everything she'd been through. That day, someone dared her to sing. She stepped inside the booth, picked Anita Baker's Caught Up in the Rapture, and pressed record. She sang not for an audience but to release something she couldn't say. That recording, raw, haunting, and entirely her, made its way into the hands of Jeff Redd, an artist signed to Uptown Records. Then it landed on the desk of Andre Harrell, the label's visionary founder. What they heard wasn't perfection. It wasn't Polish. It was pain. And that pain? It was real. It was marketable. It was magnetic. Andre Harrell didn't want to remake her. He wanted to release her. She wasn't a diva like Whitney. She wasn't crafted like Janet. Mary was something new, something raw and jagged, like a wound still healing. Uptown signed her. No parade, no glamour, no big budget. Just a shot. Mary was still living in the projects. Still wrestling with depression, drinking to numb herself, partying to forget. But now, she was recording, learning, performing a backup for Jeff Redd, doing guest features. Her signature style, baggy clothes, Tim's, tough posture confused the label. She wasn't marketable in the traditional sense. But then came a spark. A young intern named Sean Puffy Combs saw something in her that nobody else did. He didn't try to change her. He didn't want her to smile on cue or sing like someone else. He wanted her just as she was, gritty, emotional, and honest. Puffy believed vulnerability was strength, not weakness. And Mary? She was a powerhouse hiding behind a storm. Together, they didn't just make music. They invented a whole new genre, hip-hop soul.